Hi, this is Doug from Dynamic Computing, and welcome to episode 69, oh come on guys, grow up, of 10-Minute Amiga Retrocast. This week I want to talk a little bit about my Amiga 1200 and the keyboard problems that I've had for like 15 years, and how I overcame them with a new keyboard membrane that's available from our friends either at Sordon.day or our pals at RetroReady.one. This new membrane is a much stiffer, harder membrane. There you go again, guys. That fits right into the Amiga 1200 or can replace many Amiga 500 membranes that are bad, unless you've got one of the membranes, one of the two-part Amiga 500 membranes. That requires something totally different. So let's jump right into it and take a look at see what's going on. So here's how the package arrived from Sordon. Just the unit itself wrapped up in some kind of black material. The unit is rigid, the membrane is rigid, so apparently that was enough protection to get over here. Look at the price, $4.50 to ship from Dublin, Ireland over to the United States. I could not take this same package and ship it to my next door neighbor in Tucson for $4.50. It'd probably cost $6, $7 if I tried to mail it to my next door neighbor. Just crazy, the price of shipping. So let's get it open and take a look at what the membrane looks like. So internally, she's wrapped in cardboard, which I do appreciate. That gives a little bit more rigidity to it, so I can't complain about that. And here's the little beauty out of the box. Amiga keyboard, hard PCB membrane replacement, A500, A1200. Here's the A1200 connector right up here. Special thanks to all LRD Maris, Paxo, and Stupi from PPA.pl. Marcin Wigluski, Ponte 1801. Okay, great. Now over here, you see, this is where you would plug your Amiga 500. The little circuit board for the Amiga 500 would go right in here. And we have a couple little parts that hook up. A ribbon cable and a little hard connector. This is the important part right here, because that's what's going to replace the loose flippity-floppity connector on the current membrane that I'm about to show you. So this is how the current membrane attaches. We've got this loose little piece right here that's supposed to be held in place with a little plastic clip. Now my little plastic clip disappeared many years ago, and I don't know where it went. I had this one 3D printed by a friend on Facebook, and it connects right down here into this white connector right there. And what happens, let's get this out of the way so we can see it. What happens is the connector just kind of sits and flops right inside there. The connector kind of flops right inside there and does not make a very good connection. And what I've had to do is I've had to take some material and stuff it back in there to push the connector back against the pins to even get the keyboard to work at all. And it was getting worse with time. Now, as I may have mentioned before, I do have a PS2 keyboard adapter that allows me to use a PS2 style keyboard or even an Amiga 2000 keyboard. And this has a rigid connector, and it just plugs right down in there and sits nice and tight inside here. Ba-doom. And then this piece connects up to an external keyboard, and it works fine that way. The external keyboard works fine because there's plenty of pressure on the pins for everything to connect. But the issue is, then you lose the cool Amiga 1200 case, and you always have to have an external keyboard, and it's just yucky. So I want to fix it. Here you can see the membrane that came with the Amiga 1200. I've already taken the back off. There's 20-something screws to remove the backing here. I've already taken that off. And we've got the standard membrane, which is very thin and flimsy, as you can see. And the connector on it is just this standard little membrane-y connector here that's held on by a white clip. So when I heard that the new membranes were coming out that use a much more physically solid, you can already see this does not bend and flop, it's not nearly as transparent as the other one, but most importantly, it uses a physical PCB to connect with, just like my keyboard adapter. I knew that this was going to be the right solution for me. It also uses metal connectors here. These are all just actual metal instead of the carbon paint or whatnot that's used on the regular membrane. It can be used either on an Amiga 500. If you've got an Amiga 500, this little connector connects right up with a little board that you get with your Amiga 500 keyboard right there, and it'll work fine in Amiga 500. If you use it in your Amiga 1200, it comes with a ribbon cable. And with this ribbon cable, it connects to this physical connector here, and it just has little black nubbins on the side that pop up to release it. The blue side of the cable goes down, and it just slots right inside there, and that clips right into place, and that holds on nice and tight. And then you take your little connector here, it says blue rectangle must be down, which is accurate. The blue rectangle is down, and this also has the little release clips here. Slide those down with your fingernail. This just slides right in and locks into place. And now we have our physical connection with a plenty long enough cable. So if you need to keep your keyboard in and pop it out and manipulate a little bit, get underneath it and leave this plugged in, there's actually a little bit of place you can do that. Now let's get this put back together and we will test it out. The little metal connector side goes down and it lines up perfectly with all these little nubbins here. These are the actual screw holes. So once it's in and the keyboard's face down like this, this is not going anywhere, and you're able to put this metal plate back on and screw everything into place, no problem at all. Keyboard just sets in here. There's only one way it goes in. In you go. It's a nice snug little fit there. You can see that it's a nice tight fit in there. No more loose connection, no more floppy cables, just a nice firm fit, and it fits okay. Plenty of room to take the keyboard in and out if you're doing something internally without having to unplug it, which I think is going to be kind of nice. Now we're going to fire up this Amiga and see if she works. So we will use Final Copy 2 as a nice test. Let's type some letters. JKLMNOPQRSTUV WXYZ 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 0. And I am thinking that every darn key on here is now working, which is something that has not been happening with my machine in a long time without using my interface. That is exciting. Not half bad, really. Now, even if you don't have a problem with your Amiga 1200 or your Amiga 500 membrane, you may have a problem in the future. I've had to replace my Amiga 500 membrane in the past with one of the traditional style, and now I've had to replace my Amiga 1200. These things are just getting older, and so let's support our Amiga vendors and pick one of these up and put it to good use. This should last us another 30 or 40 years or so. I would like to thank my patrons on Patreon for helping me out, supporting me every month. You can join too for as little as $2 a month with some cool perks, like I've released a bunch of unpublished videos in the CDXL format for AGA Blaster that I talked about last week. But let me say thank you to my patrons by typing the name of each one at a time in my word processor for you. Number 1, ALEX. You know what? Let's just look at the list. slightly easier. On another note, my son and his friend have started a new business called Zero. It's through one of the nice t-shirt companies, and they've asked me if they can be the sole provider of high quality 10-minute Amiga Retrocast merchandise. So if you take a look over here, you'll see a little bit of what's available. Right now we've got t-shirts, hoodies, we've got some mugs, we've got some stickers, all at pretty darn good prices. And 100% of the proceeds go to my two 15-year-old entrepreneurs and not a penny to me. That doesn't seem quite fair, does it? No, just kidding. I'm glad to support their business. I think it's awesome what they're doing. So if you want to get a nice 10-minute Amiga Retrocast t-shirt, take a look. Now, something's wrong here. This is an actual 10-minute video. This can't be. I'm going to have to extend this out at least another 25 minutes. What do you guys want? Do you want some, want me to sing, maybe do a little dance, Cabbage Patch? We could do that for 25 minutes. Or we could just say, this is Doug from 10-Minute Amiga Retrocast, signing out.